Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, everyone. Welcome once again. Let me remember to actually look at the camera. So, hi, my name's David. I'm an indie professional wrestler, and this is Frankenstein. Hello, good boy. Yes, I saw you popping up. Yeah. So anyway, hi. This is going to be my thoughts slash review slash just random tangents about SummerSlam Night 1. And then, of course, the next video will be SummerSlam Night 2, so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's just get to the point now, shall we? Oh, and just let people know, just because there's no way for you to know this without me telling you, I just spent the last 30 minutes trying to get Adobe Premiere Rush to work. Apparently, the university that I work with is now under control of something else, and that means my account was no longer accepted. But they said that I would be able to transfer it to a personal email, so I did. However, the personal email that I had was apparently my recovery email from the other account, so my actual Gmail cannot be used to open up my own account. So I had to go and find my old AOL account from like years ago with over 9,000 emails in it, apparently. And yeah, so I'm now using my AOL email to put this video together. And they say nothing will change, but considering the fact that my menu changed and now there's different content in my windows of previous projects, tells me that it has changed. And I'm betting you Adobe is going to start charging me twice. I bet you that's what they're going to do. So I'm going to be very vigilant on that, and the joys of not having a disk where you can just put a disk in and that's the program. Yeah, that's your program on your computer. Yeah, I would have rather liked, having CS5 again, just you pay for it once, put it in a disk drive, and it fucking works. All you people going, oh, the PlayStation 6 is going to be, digital only. It's the future. You say that until you lose all of your games. This is why I don't normally critique matches anymore. This is why I don't do this shit. This is why, because I guarantee you, with the way the crowd was reacting and everyone was going, oh my god, it's amazing, and yes, Frankie, yes, I love you. I have seen some discourse online that basically goes along the lines of every single match needed to be twice as long. The only match that got time was Punk versus Cody and, Reigns versus Seth. I get that. I understand that is the popular discourse online. So, and I'm probably going to be talking more about this match than the actual length of the match itself. And this is going to be a lovely way to just endear me to everyone in the audience, but okay, so the first match was Io Sky versus Liv Morgan, and dear God, this match fucking sucked. If anything, this match needed to be cut in half. So here's the general. Okay, so match one, ideally. And I realize it doesn't matter because the crowd is erupting and going, yay, we loved the match, even though the heel won. Like, general speaking rule of thumb is, first match, you gotta have the crowd be up. Make sure the crowd is up, If you're gonna have a heel victory, you don't put that in match one. But okay, I'm going to ignore that because we're in WWE land. The WWE crowd loves it when the heels win. Yay, we love this heel. Boo that babyface. Yeah, I get it. But my problem with this match, and my problem that I have with seemingly every women's match in WWE, and I'll be perfectly honest, most of the men as well, it's just a series of moves. And at no point was it more obvious than in the finish of the match? So, I'm going to even ignore the fact that there were like 7 finishers before this that should have gotten the pin, okay? You get chokeslammed off the top rope, boom, that should be a pin. That should be the end of the match, okay? Like, okay, but you have the person kick out of that. And then, okay, then they do something else. Then they do something else. And it's like, okay. The finish of this match is Io Sky hits her running knee into Liv Morgan and into the ring post. Okay? Now, first and foremost, this is like the 3rd time she's hit it in the match. And this time she hits it. And I realize, reality-wise, you're not really cramming someone's knee into your head because they'd be dead. Okay? But in kayfabe, you're hitting someone's knee into their head, which is then ricocheting off of a steel beam. Liv Morgan should be dead. Like, we should have an ambulance come out, cart her away. Oh, sorry, she's been taken to a medical facility or whatever. She should be dead. We should have a corpse of Liv Morgan. Okay? She loses by the fact that she has no heartbeat anymore. That's really what should be happening here. But not only does that happen, but then Liv Morgan is selling the knee. Like, oh, I hurt my knee, I hurt my knee, I hurt my knee. Which the only way you hurt your knee on that move is if you, in kayfabe, are purposely putting your knees to the side of the person's head. Which means you're not actually hitting them with anything. You're not hitting a move. So in kayfabe, the move is fake. Not, oh no, it's fake because it's wrestling. No, in kayfabe, the move is fake. Liv should be dead. You've just admitted it's fake. Then she goes up, does a moonsault, boot up. Liv Morgan should be unconscious and dead. Liv Morgan gets right back up, goes for an oblivion. You just got your head caved in with a knee, and then ricocheted off the back of the head against a metal pipe. How are you up? But she hits a move. Oh no, it's a reversal. She goes up over the move. Okay, so she runs up, hits a code breaker instead, then hits the move. Boom. So she rapidly, very quickly, in the last 30 seconds of the match, after getting hit with something that should fucking kill her, she gets up and she's doing moves. And not only that, she does the fastest flurry of offense she's done the entire match. And wins 1, 2, 3. And crowds erupting, crowds going, yay, we saw moves, yay, we saw moves. But the moves didn't make any sense. There was no reason for that sequence of events to occur. It's just, hi, like, you got blown up with a grenade. Boom. 10 seconds later, I'm gonna run around and now my limbs are reattached and by the way, I hit my move 1, 2, 3. How? You got blown up with a grenade. Like, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. I mean, the last 30-ish seconds of the match, the last minute, was very fast-paced, and I will say it built to a crescendo. Here's what I would have done differently. I mean, first and foremost, if you're going to have, the heel win, don't put it in match 1. But that level of energy that we saw at the last 30 seconds, put that in the first 30 seconds. We started this match with, and I don't mean like do the finisher spam in the first 30 seconds. I mean armrier, get up, hip toss, get up, scoop slam, get up, roll around, whatever, just constantly be moving, constantly doing something. Crisscross, drop down, leapfrog, hip toss, drop kick, boom, something exciting in the first 30 seconds where someone's always constantly moving back and forth. If you can't do that at the level of WWE, what are you doing in WWE? Okay, everyone should be able to do crisscross, drop down, leapfrog, hip toss, arm drag, scoop slam, drop kick, whatever. Oh, I'm going to chase after you, up and over. Oh, nope, now I'm going to chase after you, slide down, reverse it, give you a German suplex, whatever. Just something where something is constantly in motion, boom, hit the move, then you can let the crowd settle for a little bit, okay? Like, give that brief flurry of excitement. And realistically, if you're going to be the first match and you're only going to go, well, I think this match went like 15 minutes, it seems, but assuming if you were to go like 5 minutes, anyone in WWE should be able to just do a constantly moving, always something happening for 5 minutes straight. You're in WWE, you're getting paid 7 figures, you can do this, you know? But, and then, you know, they had the finish of the match be, oh no, slightly Io's, first they says, oh, Io's ankle is hurt, but then Io's knee was hurt later. So there was a little something, there was like a twinge of a storyline that happens. It's like, no, use that storyline, that's your heat, you know? The first time Io goes for her bullet train, whatever, she misses. Boom, hits her knee, tweaks her knee. We now have a story, and now she's fighting out from under her, you know? The story, of course, being Liv cannot match Io with speed and agility and high-flyingness and whatnot and athleticism. So, you know, she has to ground her, and then you come back from underneath that, fighting up, making people care for the big spots. Because, oh my god, that's the big flurry of offense, the big spot. You know? But yeah. Really nice athleticism in the last minute. It didn't make sense, but nice athleticism for the last minute. I don't mean to make an aside when there's not even a match that's happened to review, but LJN Wave 5 is here. Scan the QR code to pre-order yours. And the people that are, the action figures, the dolls, the whatever you want to call them, that they are advertising, the Iron Sheik, okay, makes sense. Hulk Hogan, okay, makes sense. I mean, you know, racist hot dog man, but, you know, was super famous. You know, people love him. Jey Uso, and Bruce Pritchard. Brother Love. Who the fuck wants a Bruce Pritchard doll? Ay. Another aside, just because you call it the Bloodline Vortex does not mean magically, oh, it's planned, we did this on purpose. No. Admitting that your characters are stuck in a mid-card feud that's going nowhere doesn't make it smart. It's just admitting that, yeah, we know there's a problem. If you know there's a problem, fix it. Well, for a thrown-together, spur-of-the-moment, 6-man tag team match, that was actually quite good. So LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys versus the Usos and Jacob Fatu. Okay, so I did have someone ask me, you know, I was like, well, you know, do a thing on your wrestling thoughts and, like, you know, how it changes being, you know, because you're a wrestler, you know, how your thoughts about wrestling change, the industry, etc., etc. And I will say this, it changes the way I watch wrestling, okay? So I'm not going, oh my god, that was a move, oh my god, that was this, was that. I look at things, like, I notice far more frequently where people are placed, their footwork, how they get in and out of spots, you know, stuff like that. I generally judge the crowd reaction more than going, oh my god, this is amazing, and, you know, oh, they did 17,000 moves, and if the crowd's dead, it doesn't matter, you know? So I'm listening more to the crowd reaction, I'm listening more to, watching where their feet are placed, what they're pivoting off of, what they're doing that, you know. I will tell you, every single time one of these Samoans does a Samoan drop, it scares the shit out of me, because I just see both hands out like this for the person taking it, and I'm just going, if they don't rotate properly, an arm is getting caught, and they're snapping their arm in half. Like, their legs are locked around, you know, an arm, or the person giving it, but their arm should also be wrapped around here. You know, it should be like this, you know, so, and when you spin, okay, flatten out. They don't do the latch and then flatten out. They're flattened out while they're spinning, and that scares the shit out of me. Anki, what are you barking about? By the way, in case anyone was wondering why I had to change shirts in the video, it's because the dogs escaped and I had to go run after them and went. let me switch shirts after this. Let me take a shower. Although I do now realize I am in fact wearing a Night of Legends ECWA shirt, so I'm also stealth advertising the company I work with. Yay! Brand synergy. But anyway, yes, so I notice those things like, the different way they do the Samoan drop and whatnot. I also noticed other little things where it's like, oh, hey, Royce Keys stumbled after doing a clothesline or whatever. And I can tell you why he did. It's because of the advertisements in the ring. Okay? Most people will go and say, oh, he stumbled, he's this, he's that, he's all these. No. It's the advertisements in the ring. So that ring is canvas. And I bet you all those advertisements are like a sticky vinyl that's put on top of the canvas. So you have one texture that is, needless to say, first off, the ring is bouncing up and down, it's wood, and it vibrates and whatever. But you got one surface that is cloth material, and then you got another surface that is now smooth and slick. And you're trying to do a spot, you have 1 foot on one type of surface, 1 foot on another. You're going to slip up. The fact that someone has not blown out a knee already yet is amazing, because I have seen this happen in the ring. I have seen someone running the ropes, just, drop down, leapfrog, whatever, blow out their knee because the vinyl mat was wet in one spot versus dry in another spot. Generally speaking, you don't want to be the match after, the pie in the face match or whatever. Or if someone is oiled up or they're slick or whatever, even if it's later on in the show, with a vinyl mat, there will be dry spots, and then there will be wet spots because of people's sweat. Okay? So, yeah. Vinyl surfaces are quite dangerous. Vinyl and canvas combined, I can't imagine running on that, because it's going to be one surface, then another surface, then another surface. The fact that there haven't been more injuries is just amazing to me. So anyway, to the actual match, the structure of the match itself, I actually really enjoyed this one. I thought... Okay. When people say 5-star match, what exactly are you thinking when you say that? Are you thinking, oh, they did all these moves, 5-star match. They went 75 minutes, kicked out of every finisher. It was in the Tokyo Dome. 5 stars, But a squash match should be able to be 5 stars. Bean, you are literally on the mat. Thank you. Don't want to have my mouse click off this. So, a Goldberg match. What is the point of a Goldberg match? Do you want Goldberg going 45 minutes? Do you want Goldberg selling? No. The point of a Goldberg match is Goldberg comes in, powerhouse, full of fire, spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, it ends in 35 seconds. That's the point of a Goldberg match. And if the crowd loves it, because, yay, Goldberg won! That's great. But does it get over the point that it's trying to get across? If so, it's a 5-star match. This match, right here, did so much. It furthered the storyline between Jacob and Solo and the Usos and whatnot. It gave LA Knight a win. It got Jacob Fatu out of the equation in a unique way, because I guarantee you, once everyone saw the, they're going to go through the barricade or whatever. No, it was a scoop slam or a power slam over the top of the barricade. So it took him out, which also elevates Royce Keys, because Royce Keys is the one that took him out. So we got a feud there that we could spin off into. We got a feud over there that we can spin off into. We got a feud here that we can spin off into. The crowd was engaged the entire time through. Somehow Solo Sikoa is an over babyface by doing the mock, running the song back and starting yeeting himself. You know, so everyone got over what needed to get over. No one got seriously injured. No one was hurt. The actual pacing of it, as far as just like certain things where it's like, oh, he does a superplex, boom, and as he's turning over to go for a pin, a different Uso comes off the corner and splashes LA Knight's back. Just the setup of like, okay, it didn't look, it was in the right place at the right time, but it didn't look like it was overly rehearsed. LA Knight wasn't going like, come on, I'm turning, come on, I see you, come on. Like, there was none of that. Like, it was just boom, boom, boom. And in all honesty, it wasn't even super fast-paced of everyone moving around, like, zipping around like, cruiserweights, which is what I think people are going to get out of my first little bit of information there. But it was constantly moving. Even if they're not doing a bump, they were, in fact, doing something. But, and this is where you can get in trouble with a six-man tag, it wasn't in such a way that there were 3 different brawls happening in 3 different locations and the audience can't figure out which one is the important one they're supposed to look at. It all happened focal center point in one spot, and people could see where the next spot was going to be, because everyone saw that it was going to be the Jacob Fatu over the the turnbuckle, whatever, over the announce desk, over that little corner area. And then you see someone setting something up, but it's only like, oh, I see it's happening, and then 3 seconds later it happens. It's not the stop and wait phoniness. So if this achieved everything it was going to do, if this is furthering storylines, everyone got over what they needed to get over, it entertained the crowd, by definition that should be a 5-star match. Okay? The 6-man tag that everyone, including myself, was like, oh dear God, this is going to be a stupid-ass match. This is just get guys on the card territory. This is filling space. This is probably going to be match of the night as far as getting stuff over, I would imagine. This furthered a lot of stuff, and yeah, I really have no real complaints about this. In fact, I would argue this probably should be the opener, if this was going to be the match that they did. I mean, hindsight 2020 here, but that's what I would have said. I think that is a good match, and yeah, probably ended at the right time too. Like, I could, in theory, say, oh, add a few more minutes onto this, but nah. It was... Oh, the one thing I will notice, there was really at no point in time that the heels were ever really in control. We start out with Solo and one of the Usos. Solo dominates it. There's a little bit of heat, tag to Royce Keys. Royce Keys basically cleans house. And yes, he has to sell because, oh no, there's like a double down or whatever. I need a hot tag LA Knight. LA Knight gets in, LA Knight cleans house. There's like a little bit of double teaming at the end, little, finisher spam, barricade spot, then LA Knight wins 1, 2, 3. Realistically, that was a match with pretty much 0 heat. Which also probably tells me that should have been the opener. Hey, the babyfaces just do fun babyface things and then they win, yay. That would have been a perfect opener for the show. I think if we started off with that match, I think that would probably have been a nice little thing for the crowd. Hindsight's 2020 though, like I said. Okay. Gunther's not the guy. Yeah, that's how this segment is starting. Gunther is not the guy. So, first and foremost, I realize that wrestler-flavored wrestler and wrestling-flavored wrestling are very difficult things to achieve in wrestling nowadays. Mainly because wrestling has gotten so used to having cartoon characters that there can be one guy where their gimmick is that they're the mat technician. But if you have 2 guys that are mat technicians, okay, well, one of them's the babyface, one of them's the heel. When you have 3 guys that are the mat technician, ooh, you are dancing on thin ice, because now you're just getting into flavors of they're all the same guy. Who is Black Trunks guy number 1 versus Black Trunks guy number 2 versus Black Trunks guy number 3. Yeah, wrestling flavored wrestling just doesn't get over. It's a very niche audience. with that being said, like, the first 30 seconds of this match was like, mwah, me. Like, I love this, you know? Like, yes, they put a headlock, and then when he goes to push him off the ropes, he just drops to a knee and goes, no, I'm keeping a hold of that headlock. And it's like, yes. Sorry, that was a fucking cravat. Headlock. I'm holding on to the headlock. Like, yes, thank you. Like, I'm just like, yes. But here's the thing. I'm noticing the crowd is like, crickets, chirp. And I noticed they were doing crickets and chirps even during, like, Gunther's entrance. But I will get into that a little later. But they started winning the crowd over. Like, Nick Aldis and Gunther are good. Now, I have seen Gunther stutter step around a lot in previous matches. I did not catch any of that here. Like, I don't know, there was a time and place when Gunther would be like, do a move, and then just start pacing back and forth, take 7,000 steps to move 2 feet. And it's like, what are you doing? Boom, hit your move, 1 step to get where you need to go. Like, generally speaking, if you see someone run the ropes, it should take them like 4 steps maximum to be able to get from one side to the other, okay? Really, if they're running the ropes, you're taking big, long strides. You know, if you see someone take to finally hit the ropes, it's like, just something just looks off. It just looks unprofessional. It looks wimpy, you know? It looks like there's no momentum following you, etc., etc. Same thing with like a big hoss or something. If you go, boom, I'm hitting you with a smack and you're bumping, and then I just need to get around you to pick you up by the hair, 1 step from in front of you, boom, to your side, turn, grab head, it's right there. Efficiency, limited number of steps, no wasted movement. You know, and if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, no, you need to, you know, take your time, though, because we need to play to the crowd, whatever, it's like, okay, boom, hit them, pose, do whatever, nasty look, whatever, you know, snarl, whatever the fuck they do. Big step. I'm gonna grab his hair now. Grab his hair and, like, you know, do whatever it is you need. You can elongate that time, but you still only need to take 1 step to get from in front of the person to behind the person to grab them. Okay? So, efficiency of movement. So, yeah, that's your little tidbit of something. But, yeah, no. So, overall, like, this match, they won the crowd over. First 30 seconds, first 2 minutes of the match, really, that was all for me. That was all for my love of catchers, and, you know, the European style of wrestling. Like, you know, if people go and say, hey, David, you know, what would you do if you had a wrestling promotion? First and foremost, I'm not ever going to have that sort of money unless I win the lottery. But what I would do is I would have the 3-ring circus, you know? You know, you'd have your typical WWE style, you'd have your cruiserweight style, X Division, whatever. And then as the third thing, I would have the classic European style. I would reintroduce the concept of rounds. This is 1 fall, 3 rounds, 5 minutes each. So, you know, you'd start having, you know, your heel start getting, you know, and punches are, you're not allowed to punch. You're not allowed to do anything off the top rope. We are going to do this like the most pure style of wrestling we could possibly do. And there's very few people who could do that, so we'll probably wind up being the same 2 people having the same match over and over again. But assuming I had infinite money and an infinite talent pool, I'd be able to do that, because then you'd have a bunch of different stuff that you could do. Oh no, you know, we're gonna fight back up from underneath, and now we're going out, and the heel is, the heel's on the back ropes, he's gonna get pinned, 1, 2, ding, 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 ding. Damn it, time. Round is over, go back to your corners, 30-second break. Boo! You know, you could do stuff like that. You could bring back the old NWA rule of, I threw him over the top rope. Disqualification! Title doesn't change hands. You could do so many different things with that. So yeah, I love the classic concept of the European-style wrestling. The other tidbit of information that advice that I got, was always to do one thing different in each match. Because, you know, it's wrestling, we all have our 5 moves of doom, everyone expects the setup, like, this move means that he's going to do that move next, and, you know, it starts to build and build and build, and people know what's happening. but you do one move differently every match. You know, something that you haven't seen before. And they did this, you know. The audience has seen a superplex before. Heck, the audience saw a Spanish fly earlier today. The audience saw something else, but I guarantee you, Gunther going for a crossbody, Nick Aldis catching him, putting him up into a vertical suplex, boom. They didn't see that before. And Gunther throwing out a Saito suplex as well. They didn't see that before yet either. Just one or two things, and everyone goes, oh my god, you still got it, this is amazing, this is the greatest match, you've won him over, with something that's really, honestly, not that difficult. You know, it's not painfully, you know, obvious, you know, but realistically speaking, if you can hold someone up for a suplex, you can hold someone up for a suplex. It doesn't matter what type of suplex you give them, you can hold them up for a suplex. So, you could have done that into a vertical suplex. You could have done that into a jackhammer. You could have done that into a brainbuster. Any one of those three. And those are three different things. People go, oh my god, that's amazing. And you know what? Gunther could have also just put his legs down, grabbed from behind, thrown something else. Like, there's ways to get in and out of this over and over again, you know? Just depends on what you're leading to next, you know? Because it's not just the move, it's how you get into the move, how you get out of the move. So, overall, I'd say, like it was a really traditional standard wrestling match, but it got the crowd engaged. They won the crowd over simply just by, doing the few little flourishes that people haven't seen in a while. Same basic stuff, but done slightly differently. And of course, the fact that a chop makes a really nice sound. You know, there's no way to fake that. It's going to make a sound, it's going to make an impact. You know, they really just don't hit the collarbone, don't hit nipple. You know, anywhere in between, good to go. You can hit this over and over and over and over and over again, and it will wake the crowd up. You know, they will go, oh my god, that hurts, that must be so painful. Yeah, there's no way to fake it. It's going to make a sound. It's going to sting. But you do it safely. You don't have to worry. You know? But yeah, so great match. Couple little things. So I did say that Gunther's not the guy, and that's how this is starting. Yeah, he's not the guy. They've given him like, oh, he's ended the career of AJ Styles. He's ended the career of John Cena. He's ended the career of Goldberg. His music hits, and the crowd is dead silent. They're not booing him. They're not going, boo, I hate you. They're not going, oh, fuck this guy. They're not throwing trash at him. They're not doing anything. He's getting dead crickets. And after he wins the match, it's not a, boo, it's a, oh, really? They didn't have Aldis go over? Ugh. And as he's celebrating, it's dead crickets. They don't even care. Because Aldis is getting up in the ring, and they're going, yay, Aldis, we love you! And you know, that's, yeah, no. And I've noticed this reaction from Gunther from the previous couple of matches that I've seen of him. He's not over as a heel. Like, people like, oh yeah, he's the heel, boo, but he's not over as the heel. He's not, you give someone the gimmick of, you're the career killer, you're like the final boss, you're the guy that just destroys everyone's hopes and dreams. And the people's reaction to it is, okay, that's not good. And I don't know what it is. I have a couple of theories. First and foremost, Gunther looks emancipated. He looks like he's a skeleton. He looks like he's like a 75-year-old man hanging on, like his skin is just sagging off his body. Gunther looked better fat. He looked more terrifying as a fat man. Sometimes, when you get healthier, you get skinnier, it just doesn't look... I look at Grandpa. I look at Gunther, and I see my grandfather, okay? I see good old Machifswa Novakowski, okay? I see him. I just see just a younger version of my grandfather. And it's just like same facial structure, same sort of like saggy skin everywhere. It's like, yeah, that's Milton Novak right over there. Like, he doesn't look threatening. He doesn't look terrifying. He's not as over as he was back when he had the Intercontinental title. I think also part of the reason is behind the scenes, we all know he's not winning a title for a while, He's not going to go for the Universal title. They're going to build Oba for that. He's not going for, the World Heavyweight title or whatever. That's Punk and whatever storylines are involved with that. We know he's in that Bobby Lashley situation where he's the 5th most important guy. They don't want him to lose, but they're not going to have him win the big one either. So there's that. And then there's also the fact of, someone tapping out to a sleeper hold as a thing. It's literally a sleeper hold. You go to sleep. That's what you do. And if it's applied correctly, there's not even this fighting of oh no, one hand down, oh no, 2 hands. No, the man's already out. There's none of that happening at all. Ever since we've established you tap out to a sleeper hold, I think there's a part of people that are just going oh, this is so dumb. This makes no sense. It's like if someone were to start actually tapping out to a wrist lock. I mean, yeah, in theory, this is actually very dangerous to grab a hold of someone's wrist and do whatever manipulation you feel like. This joint right here, along with the ankle, one of the easiest ones to break. Okay? Realistically, if you're ever in a fight, wrist lock, ankle lock, neck crank. Those are the 3 things you need to do to save yourself in any sort of combat situation, assuming you can't escape and run away from it, okay? And assuming you're not facing an actual trained, fighter. Some idiot in a bar that's attacking you, neck crank, wrist lock, ankle lock, one of those 3 things will get you out of it. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So yeah, realistically, someone should tap out immediately to an arm wringer. You should really, legitimately, an arm wringer should break someone's wrist. If it was done properly, you'd break their wrist in half. But if someone starts tapping out to an arm wringer, everyone just goes, that's stupid. That's not what an arm wringer's for. That's not what you do an arm wringer for. What? It's like if someone gets disqualified for a close-handed fist. Yeah, it's illegal in wrestling, but no one cares. So, yeah. But yeah, no. So, Gunther's not the guy. He's not the guy. In fact, Nick Aldis looked far more impressive, just physicality-wise. He's taller than Gunther, and wider than Gunther, and more muscular than Gunther, and I think he's younger than Gunther, too. Heck, I know Nick Aldis is younger than CM Punk, he's probably younger than Cody, he's younger than Roman, literally speaking, this match proved nothing to me, except, Nick Aldis should actually be a full-time wrestler. This should have been the situation to go and say, Nick Aldis, you're no longer general manager. You are officially part of the roster. You have your actual matches and storylines now. I would love to see more Nick Aldis matches. But yeah. So I think Gunther, I think he's slowly on. It'll take a few years for people to catch on. Because I know Triple H will be no, that's my guy. I'm going to push him. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Much like how they tried to, no, Damian Priest has the world title. They mentioned Damian Priest, and it's oh, yeah, Damian Priest. Man, he did nothing after losing that title, didn't he? There are certain times where they try to go and say, this guy's the guy, and they will keep going with it no matter what. And they're not the guy. And that's nothing to say against anything to Damian Priest, or against anything to Gunther, or against anything to anyone, shape, or form. It's just at some point in time you gotta realize no, it's not. It could be one thing, it could be 7,000 little tiny things that are completely not even the guy's fault. It's just, he's not the guy. He's not the final boss, he's not the career killer. I don't think anyone's buying it. It was a good match. I loved it. I think we're going to, some couple years down the road, there's going to be a bunch of little video essays of what happened to Gunther? Why is Gunther no longer over? Why is Gunther this? I'm calling it probably 5, 6, 7 years in advance. Gunther's not the guy. And, yeah. Good match, though. I liked it. Okay, another aside to kill a gimmick, and I also noticed this happening at LA Knight's entrance as well. Every now and then, when they think they're going to have someone get a big cheer, they put up this little meter that says, like, here's how loud the crowd is. And what you get is you get it picking up its own music, where it's like, LA Knight, and it's like that's the highest point. And yeah, there's people cheering, but the cheering level is lower than the part of the song that went L.A. Night, you know, whatever. Like, same thing just happened with Nikki Bella. The Bellas and Paige, as they're making their entrance. I've paused it. But, yeah, so there's this big where the bar goes, yay! And then it cuts to the crowd of people. No one is doing anything. There's no one running up and down, cheering, yay, woo! They're sitting on their hands. So I know, from your own shot of your own production, the sound that is being picked up by that meter has nothing to do with the actual crowd. It's picking up the music. Kill the gimmick. Okay, so contrary to what people think might happen right now in the segment of this video, I am not going to talk shit about the person who obviously injured themselves in the match at some point in time. I think when they got pulled off the top rope, because one of the Bellas was just, the shoulder was just dangling, like, there was no movement up and down, like, I'm not going to complain about that. Like, obviously, even the post-match angle when the Bellas turn heel, you know, one of them doesn't actually do anything and just paces back and forth and just holds their shoulder because clearly their shoulder is either out or they have pinched something. If it's pinched, it's best case scenario. Torn ligament, torn tendon, worst case scenario. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. Like, okay, obviously this did not go as planned. I will, however, complain about the fact of why was this person in the match for so damn long then? Why were they taking the heat? Like, oh, here's the part where we whip you into the corner. No! No, here's not the part where they whip you into the corner. Okay? Because what happens when they whip you into the corner is I see them very gingerly go into the corner. Like, no. No, if you're getting whipped into the corner, you take the fucking corner. Which is why, at the first sign that someone said, oh dear God, her arm is fucked, you cut out everything you planned. And you just go and say, okay, guess what? We're not doing that anymore. We're not bumping you. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. We're definitely not doing some weird sort of, I'm going to try to throw you out, and then you have to grab me to throw me out instead, because with a person with one arm doing it, it's just... And they have grabbed onto nothing. So you just tossed yourself out for no goddamn reason. You know? Like, this is a part where the WWE is too choreographed. There should have been someone in the ring who should have gone there and said, oh, no, 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 we're changing this now. We're not doing any of this, okay? Everything we planned backstage is now over. We're instead going to get them out of the ring, we're going to get a healthy person in the ring, and we're going to do as much of what we can, but it's probably going to be in a different order. We probably are going to even skip some things. We're going to have some new things instead. We're changing what we're doing. Okay? But every single person went in the exact same spots in the exact same order that I guarantee you they talked about backstage. And it was just uncomfortable to watch. Like, as I'm watching the one-armed woman go in there, and it's like, what are you expecting her to do now? Oh dear God, now you're having her do this. Oh my God, does anyone here actually, like... And then I'm also just thinking of, like, other things as well, because I'm like, what type of name is Fallon Henley? Like, your full name is 2 last names? Like, hi, my name is Smith Johnson. What? Why? My name is Cutter Carver. You know, like... Okay, fine, like, this is like a joke, like... And then I'm just thinking, then my brain is just going, Henley, wasn't that the villain from Blazing Saddles? Why'd I always get a warped one, you know? So yeah, and then of course the Bellas turn heel, and okay, so we're gonna have, assuming that Broken Bella is not broken for too long. Obviously, it's gonna be Paige and AJ versus the Bellas. I see what they're trying to do. But for all we know, this is a 9-month injury, and that's not happening for a while. But yeah, no. Yeah, I can't really fairly grade this one, because clearly something went wrong. However, something clearly went wrong, and then everyone proceeded to do fuck all to change it. You know, I guess no one knows how to call it on the fly. Not that I don't even think WWE teaches people to do that anymore, but yeah, it's yeah. Next match. So, Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Yeah, the match of the night, obviously. The thing that I want to point out here is the degrees of selling, and also how they transition from one thing to another. So there are degrees of selling. Basically, you know, obviously, you're going to be fresher at the start of a match, more tired as the match goes on, that sort of thing. But even if you injure your leg or your arm or something in a match, you're not going to be immediately, oh my God, my knee is dead, ow, to agony, and writhing on the floor in pain. You know, there's a degree to it. Like, there's the... Really, that's what this match was. It was degrees of selling, you know? It was the little things. And it's just those little things where it's like, oh, I'm hurting, you know, just that, and then they do something. And then they, later on in the match, oh, yeah, that really hurts. Okay, cool. And they go back and do something else without using that arm or whatever. And then, you know, later on in the match, it's, yeah, no, it's really, really, like, there's degrees. And it got progressively worse as the match went on. Even to the point where, you know, like, obviously, like, oh, okay, I tweaked my knee. Shake it off, give him a stomp. Okay, do a little stutter step, then go back to, you know, going whatever. Later on, oh, now it's really starting to hurt. Now I'm limping. Now someone notices you're limping, and it, you know, expands from there. Just the fact of, like, you know, it takes you longer to get up to the rope. It takes you longer to do this. It takes you longer to do that. Just that little thing. It means so much. And there was a little thing that I should have mentioned in the Gunther Aldis match. I keep wanting to say Magnus. Where Aldis was in the corner, and immediately, you know, there's crowd noise, but very specifically, there was like a group of 12 people that all in unison got up and started clapping. I don't know what Aldis did, but I know what Aldis did was he found his mark. There was someone in the crowd that he looked at and gave some sort of look, some sort of gesture, something of like a, I'm determined and I'm coming back. This is where I'm coming back now, guys. And that specific section of the crowd saw it because they were looking straight at him and he was looking straight at them. So when I saw those like 12 people rise up and go like, yeah! And then the rest of the crowd starts to follow, I know what Magnus did. He found his mark. He found his person in the crowd that he specifically sold to. He sold to them. That's what this match was as well. This match was selling specifically to, this time, the entire audience, because it's the big main event match, and, you know, the WWE main event match style is going to be, hit a big move, down for a couple of seconds. Come on, everybody! So on and so forth. They get up. But yeah, no. So the degrees of selling, I love. Also, the transitioning in and out of moves. The one sequence that immediately comes to my mind was something along the lines of like, CM Punk gets an Anaconda Vice on, and then leg, boom, switches it over into a jackknife pin. Jackknife pin then goes up into a double bridge, which, by the way, this is like midway through the match, so doing a double bridge midway through the match is impressive as fuck just to begin with. Spinning around into a crossroads. They stayed in the same spot. They stayed in the same spot the entire time. From the Anaconda Vice to the jackknife to the bridge to the spinning over of the crossroads, all of that was all in one spot. You don't have to be literally running the ropes to keep something moving. You can have this go paced out like this, but as long as something is always happening, it's engaging. Like, were they the biggest spots of the night? No, not really. I mean, the elbow drop through the table was obviously, but it was not the hardest chops of the night. It was not the hardest hits of the night. Like, I can probably say to every single match did something better than this match. But the selling, the always being in the right spot, just the positioning, beautiful. That's like, I would say this is really a great match. And okay, so obviously the finish is Randy Orton comes in, RKO, because there was a ref bump, an accidental ref bump. CM Punk capitalizes on it, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're furthering a storyline between Randy and Cody, and Punk, and we have the denial of like, well, did you know that happened? I mean, and even if he says, no, I didn't see it, the crowd's chanting Randy, 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 and you had to have heard the bump. So, there's enough shades of gray there. Like, okay, like, even the shitty-ass moonsault, where he misses completely, and very briefly, like, kind of like glances Cody's head, which, if he actually hit Cody's head, it actually hurt more than a normal moonsault. But even the shitty-ass moonsault, makes sense if you're selling a knee. He wasn't able to go straight back. It requires 2 feet. Push off. If you're only pushing off with 1 foot, well, then you're going to go twisting instead of doing it the way it probably should be done. So even the ugliness was, enhanced by, the fact of the sell, Thing when people say selling is, do I want to go that inside baseball? So there's the sell and then there's the register. And people seem to really focus on the register, which is the initial hit, versus the sell. The sell is more than just the initial, oh, I've just been hit in the face. It's a continuous thing where you're selling into position for the next thing. You're going into the next move. You're going into the next spot. You're going to where you need to be in a believable manner. How many times have you, and I saw Gunther do this, I didn't call him out on it, but how many times have you seen someone get slammed, and then someone goes to the rope, and the person getting slammed just goes, scoot, scoot, scoot. Okay, this is where they're going to hit me. No. Don't make it that goddamn obvious. So yeah. There's that. But yeah, no. So that's just my little side tangent there. That was a great match, and realistically, I know people are upset because CM Punk's old, Cody's old, so on and so forth. God damn it, they're the best goddamn sellers in the company. They really are. Like, and you have to realize that's 90% of the job. At a certain point in time, you're not going to be able to take as many bumps as you used to. But you have to make the bumps you do feel like they matter for everyone. Because even if you're just doing a headlock, no one's taking a bump, but the way you sell that headlock can make people either go, oh, it's a headlock, it's boring, or, oh my god, it's a headlock, and he's fighting to get out of it, and he's doing all this and that. You can make a headlock exciting if you sell it properly. These two guys can sell. And I was grinning, giddy, ear to ear the entire match. So, and I feel like that's generally, the case in point. I mean, I don't want to go and speculate, but Punk probably really should be the person booking the show. The 1 month of not Dynamite, Collision. Yeah, the 1 month of Collision where it was obvious that CM Punk was booking Collision was the best Collision has ever been. Heck, it's the best AEW show that there has ever been. The best matches, the best feud, like literally, CM Punk was fighting over a friendship bracelet, and they somehow made that storyline into like the greatest show, like leading up to that Hell in a Cell match where it's like the bloodiest, most brutal, most violent Hell in a Cell match ever. Like they made a hit 4 corners match, super involved in, with breaking a friendship bracelet and stuffing it in your mouth and blah blah blah. It's like every little nuance of all these things that should in theory be really stupid and silly turn out to be amazing. Like, CM Punk is clearly in control of anything that involves him. And he's in charge of whatever storyline is happening with him. Because the storylines that happen with him are clearly like a step above and beyond everything else. He is clearly in charge of, at least, if he's not in charge of the big picture, he's in charge of all the little nuances that are happening in the match or in the promos or in everything else. Because it's always a step above. It's always a cut above. So yeah, and I see on my totally legal viewing apparatus over here that there's actually there's more to this show than this was not the main event. So I will see you in the next part. I started out this review complaining about the fact that someone should be dead. Yeah. Hell in a Cell. Brock and Oba. Tombstone onto exposed boards, and we kick out. Okay, fine, fuck it, We've had, what is this, like 15 years of this problem with Brock Lesnar. Now we're going to have another 25, 30 years of it with Oba. Hey, the guy just got, slammed off of a yacht through the universe, wound up in Australia, went through the entire world. 2 count. I literally spent the last video mentioning that Hell in a Cell match between Drew and Punk. And how it was bloody and brutal, and this was not. This was every single WWE no-holds-barred match. Here's a chair. Here's a table. Why are we grabbing a table? You're in Hell in a Cell. You could literally just grab the guy's head and throw him into the cage. The cage doesn't get used once. Instead, we grab a table to prop it against the cage to throw the guy into the table. And I know the reason why. The reason why is the table hurts less than the actual cage. Even though the cage is a mesh, you're still going to get cut up and sliced as the metal flexes. Cage matches... Oh, for fuck's sake. Cage matches are the easiest gimmick match to do. Because you don't actually have to do anything. You can just push someone's head against the cage, and they're themselves going, ah, ah, and you're barely even touching the cage. You're like, oh no, like maybe if you have like a bigger bar cage where you can kind of fit like your face in or whatever, you can have like your teeth in the... What do I have as far as something that I can... Parasaurolophus skull is the... No, actually, no, not Parasaurolophus. Here, belt. Belt is the cage bar. Like, you can do that. It doesn't fucking hurt. It's the easiest goddamn gimmick match to do. And you don't fucking do anything with the cage, okay? Also, the cage is too damn tall. I mean, no one is climbing on top of that. No one's at risk of falling off of that. Like, the cage should be the size of a normal cage match. Like, it's like 3 times the size of that now. Like, you should be able, in theory, if the idea is that this is the cage that contains the violence, someone should be able to, like, grab you and just chuck you up and you have your head hit the top of the cage. It should be a boom, oh my god! You should be able to have someone, like, being able, like, if they're on top of the cage, they should be, like, I don't know, have, like, a hole that's a human-sized hole that they can, like, no, and stomp on their head or something and have them fall onto the canvas, you know, like, I don't know, they're just something. Okay, so, and of course the ending is an obvious fuck-up. I mean, it's pretty obvious he was going to get slammed onto, you know, the ending was going to be a powerbomb onto the exposed boards. Obviously that did not happen because there was just a roll of mat and there was a roll of canvas and foam padding on the floor because, you know, and obviously you can't even see what you're doing when you're powerbombing someone because, you know, your face is in their crotch. I mean, maybe you could do something like this, but not with someone the size of Brock Lesnar. You can't look around. So yeah, that would have been that situation would have just been, the length was far enough this way. You should have just had Oba already standing on the boards to then for the pickup for the power bomb. But yeah, Oba got fucking tombstoned onto exposed boards and kicked out because, of course, we had the problem of Brock Lesnar being completely invulnerable, and realistically, you just needed to get a sawed-off shotgun and just shoot him a bunch of times, and he'd probably still kick out. Now we're going to have the exact same problem with Oba, because that's apparently what we do now. Finishing moves are just other moves. I talked about selling. I talked about selling in the last bit. And yes, there was selling. Heck, there's one thing that I saw Brock Lesnar do that I might actually try next time. When he was getting in the corner, the shoulders in the corner, I saw Brock Lesnar bring his hand down and smack Oba's back every time. You know, like that. I'm gonna have to see how that applies. Now, obviously, that would make sense if someone is skin to skin. If you're wearing someone with a singlet, it's not going to make that sound. But I have to try that out just to see how it is. You know, see if that crowd reacts more to it. Because in theory, if a crowd is dead, the way to wake them up, grab a hold, the sound of something will bring them back. You know, sound of meat to meat. Or, you know, a bump. Something will bring them back. A sound, a hold, refocus their interest. So I wonder if that's a nice way to do that. Or if doing the typical, ooh, ow, whatever, you know, would also work. We need to see which one's more effective. So there is the one bit of thing that I will take away from this and go, oh, that's something I need to try. Which is also how I watch wrestling now as well. It's like, oh, I see what they did there. I liked that. I need to try that. And it's not something like, oh no, they did a flipping Hurricane Rana into the flaming table full of sharks or whatever. No. Just a little nuance. Something that will make it seem a bit more real, a bit more impactful. Yeah, no, but fuck, that was... We had that awesome Cody and Punk match, and now that we ended with the Hell in a Cell, which I figured Hell in a Cell would be night 2 as an opener or something, but no, it was not. It was not. It was the main event. It was the finale. I hate the no-selling bullshit. Like, and yes, they stumble, they stagger, they're selling it. But they're selling it in the same way the Young Bucks sell. Oh my god, we're dead! Surprise, we're not dead! Do another move. Oh no, we're dead again! I can't stand AEW matches, in case you can't tell. I'm not reviewing anything AEW. I'm not watching that shit. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the indie-rific do every move under the sun 2 count. And then the finish is a surprise roll-up. Because fuck you, that's why. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that was the final match. Crowd loved it. Crowd's like, Oba, Oba, we love Oba. I thought Oba was going to lose as he was making his way down to the ring because I'm going, oh dear God, he's got moop face. He's got the I'm going to fucking job face. All the way down to the ring. It's like, oh dear fucking God, he's going to lose. And I realize now he was playing it off like he was scared of the cell structure, but Katsuyori Shibata is notorious for this. Go back and watch any match in New Japan. When Katsuyori Shibata is losing, you can tell when he walks to the ring. And when he's winning, you can tell the way he walks to the ring. He is terrible at giving that away. So, I thought Obafemi had moop face on. Okay? I thought he had the job face happening. Well, that was SummerSlam Day 1, Saturday. I will have this video, however long it is, upload, and while it's uploading, I will take the dogs out for another walk, and then I will watch part 2, and I might be able to get a Spider-Man review in at the same recording day, so yeah, maybe I can. So if not, but I'll see you guys in those videos. Those ones are coming up. Thank you. You know, obviously, like, share, subscribe, comment, everything that doesn't boost engagement for me. Yay, thank you. I love you. God damn, it really is. See, here's the thing. I was enjoying night 1. I was enjoying night 1. I was like, that's actually really, like, this show won me over. Yeah, there was a couple hiccups here and there, but god damn, it really is the way you end a show off, and I'm sure the crowd loved it because oh my god, it's Hell in a Cell and being there live and whatnot. But god damn, this went from like a yay, I love this show to and by the way, I know I was fast forwarding through all the commercials and all the other stuff. I wasn't caring about that, but I was like, yeah, this was a really good show. And then the fucking main event happened. And I know I fast forwarded through like 30 minutes of stuff that wasn't actually the entrances up before that match, but dear God. It's like you have a great, amazing pizza. You know, like, and then the last bit of it is just, oh no, this last piece has mold on it. It really sort of taints the rest of the pizza. You know? It's like, did I eat mold? Was the rest of the pizza moldy and I didn't notice? It's like, it doesn't matter if every other piece was fine. That last piece was a piece of shit. Fuck.